You probably consider yourself a peaceful person. You likely value harmony above almost anything else in your relationships. When a disagreement arises, your instinct is not to shout or argue, but to retreat. You might think of this as taking the high road. You tell yourself that you are de-escalating the situation by not engaging, or that there is no point in talking when emotions are running high. You might physically leave the room, stare at your phone, or simply go quiet until the storm passes. You believe that by saying nothing, you are doing no harm. But there is a painful reality that we must confront if we want to build lasting connection. In many cases, your silence is far more damaging than any yell could ever be. You think you are keeping the peace, but to your partner, you are engaging in emotional abandonment. You are not protecting the relationship, you are starving it of oxygen. To understand why this dynamic destroys love, we have to look beyond the surface of the argument. When you shut down during a conflict, you are likely entering a state that psychologists, specifically those at the Gottman Institute, call stonewalling. This is not just being quiet. It is a total withdrawal from the interaction. It is building a psychological wall between you and your partner to protect yourself from being overwhelmed. To the person on the other side of that wall, your silence does not feel like a pause. It feels like a dismissal. It sends a primal signal that says, "You are not worth listening to," or "I am no longer in this relationship with you." For the person doing the stonewalling, the internal experience is usually not one of malice, but of panic. You are not trying to hurt your partner, you are trying to survive. This is often triggered by what is known as physiological flooding. During a heated argument, your heart rate might spike to over 100 beats per minute. Your body enters fight or flight mode. Your capacity to process language and nuance shuts down, and your vision literally narrows. In this state, your brain perceives your partner not as a loved one, but as a threat. Your silence is a shield. You freeze because you feel that if you say one word, you might explode, or you might be destroyed. However, while this defense mechanism kept you safe in childhood or in past toxic environments, in a safe relationship, it acts as a guillotine for intimacy. The difference between a healthy pause and toxic stonewalling lies in the intent and the communication. A healthy pause is a tool for regulation. It is saying, "I care about this too much to have it while I am angry." Stonewalling is a tool for punishment or escape. It is saying, "I am done dealing with you." When you check out emotionally, you leave your partner alone in their distress. This often triggers a panic response in them, causing them to get louder or more aggressive to try and get a reaction out of you. They are banging on the door of the wall you built, which only makes you build it thicker. This creates a destructive cycle known as the pursue-withdraw loop, which is one of the strongest predictors of relationship failure. Let us examine how this manifests in everyday life. One of the most common patterns is the unexplained exit. You are in the middle of a discussion about finances or chores. The tension rises. You feel that familiar tightening in your chest. Without a word, you turn around and walk out of the room. You might go to the garage, the bedroom, or leave the house entirely. You tell yourself you were just cooling off, but because you did not tell your partner where you were going or when you were coming back, you have left them in a state of limbo. They do not know if you were gone for 10 minutes or 10 years. In that absence of information, their anxiety fills in the blanks with the worst-case scenarios. You have turned a disagreement about money into a crisis of attachment. Another everyday pattern is the verbal shutdown. This is the whatever defense. Your partner is trying to explain why they are hurt, and you engage in what is called compliance without agreement. You say things like, "Fine, okay, whatever you say," or "I guess I'm just the bad guy then." You are using words, but you are not communicating. You are using these phrases to shut the conversation down prematurely. You are essentially agreeing to anything just to make the noise stop. This creates a graveyard of unresolved issues. The conflict did not go away, it was just buried alive. And because it was buried alive, it will keep scratching at the floorboards of your relationship, resurfacing as resentment weeks or months later. A third pattern is the accumulation of silent resentment. This is the long-term result of conflict avoidance. You might pride yourself on never fighting. You let the small things slide. You don't say anything when they leave their socks on the floor, or when they forget to ask about your day, or when they make a decision without you. You swallow your annoyance in the name of harmony. But the body keeps the score. That swallowed annoyance does not dissolve, it ferments. It turns into bitterness. Eventually, you reach a point where you cannot stand the sound of your partner breathing. You find yourself rolling your eyes when they speak. You have avoided so many small conflicts that you have now created a massive, insurmountable distance. You have kept the peace, but you have lost the connection. If you recognize yourself as someone who shuts down, it is crucial to understand that you can learn a new way of being. You can learn to feel safe even when things are heated. The first practical tool to implement is the structured timeout. This is radically different from storming out. In a structured timeout, you communicate three things: that you are overwhelmed, that you need a break, and, this is the most important part, when you will return. It sounds like this. I am feeling flooded right now, and I cannot listen well. I need to take a break for 20 minutes to calm down. I will come back then, and we can finish this. By giving a specific return time, you remove the fear of abandonment for your partner. You are promising that you are not leaving the relationship, just the conversation. During those 20 minutes, you must engage in self-soothing. This does not mean sitting in your car rehearsing your argument or thinking about how unfair your partner is. That keeps your body in a state of distress. Instead, you must do something to lower your heart rate. Read a magazine, take a walk, do breathing exercises, or watch a funny video. Your only job during the timeout is to get your physiology back to baseline so your prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, can come back online. Another vital tool is the use of a validating phrase, even when you disagree. Often, we shut down because we feel we have to agree with everything the other person is saying, which feels like a surrender. But understanding is not the same as agreement. You can validate their emotion without validating their narrative. When you feel the urge to shut down, try to say one simple sentence. I can hear that you are really upset about this. That is it. You are not admitting guilt. You are not promising to fix it. You are simply witnessing their pain. This small act of validation bridges the gap. It lowers the temperature in the room because the other person feels seen. It turns you from an adversary into a listener. It is also helpful to reframe what conflict actually is. We often grow up with the myth that a good relationship is an easy one. We think that if we are fighting, we are failing. But in reality, conflict is simply information. It is two different perspectives trying to inhabit the same space. A relationship without conflict is usually a relationship where one person is given up. Silence is not always a sign of peace. Often, it is a sign of resignation. It means you have stopped caring enough to try to be understood. When you stay in the room, even when it is uncomfortable, you are sending a powerful message. You are saying, you are important enough for me to endure this discomfort. You are saying, I value us more than I value my own immediate comfort. This is how trust is built. Trust is not built on romantic dates or easy times. Trust is built in the trenches of difficult conversations, where you choose to stay and work through the mess together. It is important to acknowledge that this shift will feel unnatural at first. If your nervous system is wired to flee, staying will feel like standing in a burning building. You might only be able to stay for 2 minutes longer than usual. That is a victory. You might still need to take a time out, but this time you announce it instead of ghosting. That is progress. You are retraining your body to understand that conflict is not a tiger trying to eat you. It is just a problem to be solved. There is a concept in psychology called rupture and repair. The strength of a bond is not determined by how few ruptures you have, but by how well you repair them. Stonewalling prevents repair. It leaves the wound open to infection. By learning to speak up, to take structured breaks, and to return to the table, you become a master of repair. You learn that you can break and be put back together stronger than before. So, the next time you feel the walls going up, try to leave a window open. The next time you want to say whatever, try saying, I am overwhelmed, but I care about what you are saying. The silence might feel safe to you, but it is lonely for everyone else. Real safety comes from knowing that no matter how difficult the conversation gets, you will not disappear. You will stay, you will listen, and you will fight for the relationship rather than against your partner.